Hey subscribers and watchers, what's up? In this video, we are gonna talk about how instance of operator works with the help of an example in Netbeans. It's me, Webs from slidenerd here. In the last video, we talked about this at a theoretical level and I showed you certain stuff as to what is happening. But in this video, let's go with a practical point and see exactly what is happening and why do you need this instance of operator. So now let's take a look at how the instance of operator works. I have a class animal here in Netbeans. There's a class dog which is a subclass of animal, as you guys can see over here. In fact, let me actually change the example and keep it very simple. I'll say class parent over here and I'll make class child which extends the parent, and this way you guys will really understand what's going on. So there you go. So you know clearly who's the child and you know who clearly the parent is now. So now what you want to do is go here, say parent p equals to new parent. Let's just test this out first. Let's say parent, create an object of that, use a system.out.println and simply test if p, I'll just write this by saying p instance of parent. Now what I'm trying to do is I'm going to check the contents of this variable p which actually contains new parent, and I'm going to check if that is an object of the class parent. In our case it is, so I'm going to run this by saying shift F6 and as you guys notice it says true. So now let's take a look at the child over here. So I'll remove the parent p, just comment it over here, go to child c equals to new child. The same way I did with parent, I'm going to test for child over here. Again, just comment the other above statement up, copy paste the one below, and here I'm gonna simply say is C an instance of child, which means does C contain an object that belongs to class child. In that case, again, if you say shift F6 is gonna say true, and that works perfectly. Now let's try some twisted combinations that we always wanted. Now this is the part where you guys are probably scared, wondering what is gonna happen. So let's take a look. So parent P equals to new parent, right? Now let's see, parent P equals to new child. So I'm gonna say parent. So if you see what happens in this case is the reference variable P contains an object which is over here, that is nothing but an object of the child. Now is this an instance or is this an object of the class parent that we want? That's what we want to check when we say P instance of parent. Does P contain something which is an object of the class parent? What happens if you run this shift F6? It says true. Why is this case? Even though P contains new child, remember this object, an object of this class child, is also an object of the class parent because they are superclasses and subclasses. An object of the subclass child is also an object of the superclass parent over here. So in other words, if P is an instance of parent, yes. So if P is an instance of child, let's take a look at that. It says shift F6. Now this time if you notice it says true. Now what does P contain? P contains new child. In other words, it contains an object of child, therefore it's an instance of child, therefore this returns true. But let's take a look at this. If I say parent P equals to new parent here, this time if I say shift F6, it returns false. This time what P contains is new parent, or this is an object of this which is parent. It's not an object of the child because an object of the superclass is not an object of the subclass, and therefore this returns false that you see over here. So now that you guys know exactly how the instance of operator works, why would we need this? I mean, what went wrong? Let's take a look at a simple example. Let's say child C equals to P. Very simple case that I have. I'm having a child reference variable and I'm gonna typecast it, alt enter. I'm gonna say cast over here. Is this gonna work? Let's test that. System.out.println C over here, shift F6. Now as you guys notice, it says exception in thread main java.lang.ClassCastException. It says this parent variable P cannot be converted to a child reference variable C, because just because you wrote this typecasting statement here doesn't mean that your parent is going to be converted to a child, because the object of a parent is only the object of the parent. It's not an object of child. Therefore this typecasting goes wrong when you try to run the code, and this is the exception that you have. Now you can avoid this exception if you use the instance of operator. In other words, what you do is something like this. You say if you first test by saying p is instance of child. Now only if reference variable p contains an object that belongs to the class child, we perform the typecasting and we print it out. Otherwise we simply go to the else and we say this cannot, typecasting cannot be done, something like this. So that's all you gotta do. So just go up here, align them, and now if you run this by saying shift F6, it says typecasting cannot be done, because what happens is p is an instance of child. What does p contain? P contains new parent, blah 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 stuff. This does not belong to the class child, therefore it returns false, and this if doesn't execute. Rather, what happens is this else executes and this statement is put here. Now instance of operator helped you to avoid that exception that you guys saw a minute ago. If I again remove this if condition, if I directly try to typecast it, it's gonna throw the same exception saying blah blah blah. But here, let's change stuff a little bit. Here I'm gonna say parent p equals to new child. This time parent p is actually gonna contain an object that belongs to the class child, and here the typecasting therefore is possible and this should be run. And let me put another print over here that says typecasting was done. So now if you run this by saying shift F6, as you guys notice, what happens is p contains something which is an object of the class child. Therefore this typecasting happens, this statement runs, you see typecasting was done, and this system.out.println C is gonna print the address where that object is located in your RAM as this program executed. So this is what happens with your instance of operator, and this is how you can use it to avoid the class cast exception. So in the next video we're gonna further dig into polymorphism by taking a look at dynamic method dispatch, which is coming up. In the meantime, if you guys do like what you saw, please like this video, share this video, subscribe to our channel, and let us know your thoughts in the comment boxes below. Thanks for watching. We'll catch you guys in the next Java video. Have a nice day.